If you're a business owner and you're stuck at a certain income level and you've not been able to surpass that, whether that's 10, 30, 50, or even 100K a month, then your decision making is most likely the reason why. I've worked with several multimillionaires and I've worked with broke people and everything in between. And I can honestly tell you, the thing that separates these super successful people from the unsuccessful people is always their decision making. So in this video, I will give you a simple decision making framework that will help you save a lot of time and make more money in your business so you can get unstuck and you can surpass the income levels you're looking to surpass. Now imagine this, you're on a call, you're about to invest in something that you know is gonna help you, a tool, some software, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. And now you're faced with a final decision. You either invest, so you say yes, or you decide that you don't need it and you say no, or you're not sure, you get kind of fearful and you say, I'll need to think about it. Now let's say there's two versions of you. So version A is an action taker. He takes about a minute to think about it. Version B, thinker, takes about 2 days and then comes back, maybe not. Now normally as humans, we think, oh, 2 days, that's really nothing, right? Because we would compare these 2 days to our lifespan, right? So we would say, hey, my lifespan is about, let's say 50 years or 60 more years. 2 days of me thinking about it, ultimately coming to the conclusion that, yes, this is going to help me, doesn't really matter, right? We would think it's linear, like, okay, I lost 2 days. Whatever, right? This guy did 1 minute, this guy did 2 days, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. But let me show you how that's completely wrong. Because first of all, life isn't linear. Second of all, it's all relative. And third of all, there's something called compound interest, right? The compound effect. Success is really about how long does it take you between thinking and acting? And in terms of when you act, is it something that's going to benefit you? What you want to do is compress the time between thought and action. That's what's keeping most people under, like, let's say 500K a month, is the time between thought and action. The time between thought and action is like this, right? It's either insanely close, you think extremely efficiently, you optimize for speed, you optimize for hitting a certain goal, and your thought to action is gonna look like this. Or you're extremely slow, you need to think about everything, you're not clear, you don't have clarity, you don't have purpose, and your thought to action is gonna look like this. So if we have to copy paste, this guy is already ready for new action, right? Because the guy who decides today, boom, he's onboarded today. He gets new knowledge today. He gets a clear roadmap today. He gets to take more actions today. And he already outcompeted you. So in the time, right, that it took for you to decide whether you wanted to do the thing, this guy already got some results. He already got 16 more booked calls. He already closed somebody, right? He's outcompeting you. So now what's really crazy, right? As this guy becomes better, his thought to action can actually become smaller, right? So instead of looking like this guy can even start to look like this, you know? So because he gets more reps in, right? Maybe it becomes this and boom, now it's way more efficient again. So now this guy is doing this. In that time, right? This version of you is still deciding on another thing, right? So this guy got onboarded, started booking calls, closed the client, refined his offer, got a clear roadmap, gained a clear purpose. Meanwhile, this guy jacked off a couple times, watched a couple YouTube videos, still struggled, thought about it. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do it? Should I not do it? Ultimately decided to do it, right? Then started thinking, oh, was this really worth it? Should I just refund? Didn't even do anything, right? Didn't watch a video, didn't really get any kind of knowledge or action, didn't really do anything, right? So you can see how this is extremely harmful, right? We think about it as like, oh, you know, what is 2 days? It's not about 2 days. It's about how fast is your thought to action speed. And the slower you are, the harder you're going to get outcompeted, the harder it's going to be successful. The better you can make actions, the more results you're going to get, right? Because every action has some kind of result. Every single action here, every single action in this line, right, has a result, has some output, has some yield. So 24 hours in a day times 60 minutes is 1,440 minutes, right? 1,440. Now, times 2, because we got 2 days, is 2,888 minutes. So in other words, version A is 2,888 times more efficient in making decisions than version B. So let's take this decision away from a sales call and deciding whether to invest in a program or an agency or whatever, and just take it to general day-to-day life. Let's say I'm the action taker and you're the thinker, and I'm constantly 2,880 times more efficient in making decisions. Who's going to be more successful? Version A or version B? Now you might say, well, if you take quick decisions, it might be more risky and you might make a wrong decision. But that's based on a fallacy, because that basically says the longer you spend on thinking about a decision, the better the decision. But I know for a fact that you've experienced it in your life where you actually took really long to make a decision. And because you took that long, now the opportunity was either not available anymore, and so the decision was really a bad decision ultimately, right? Let's say, for example, investing, you were like, oh man, I should buy Bitcoin, but then you decided to think about it and think about it and think about it, and now 3 months later you come to the conclusion, you know what, I'm really gonna do it, buy Bitcoin, and boom, suddenly the price is dropping. So before, if you did it 3 months before, you would have made 200% profit, but now you're losing 50% because you took that long. Right? Another example could be like, for example, in sports, right? In sports, you could be like playing soccer. And you'd be like, okay, the ball is here. Who am I going to pass the ball to? And instead of just passing to the guy who you see is being free, you're like, okay, wait, but maybe there's a better option. And now suddenly, because you took 2 more seconds, another guy already intercepted you. He took the ball and he's gone, and boom, they score a goal. That is sports, but business is even more competitive than sports, really, but you don't see it because you're sitting at home behind your PC, right, in your own world. But you're really just competing with other people, but they're in their own rooms, sitting there also thinking they're in their own world. And 1 out of 10 of these people actually realizes this is a competition. I'm competing with a guy right now in his room, and that guy's jacking off. That guy has fucking Brain FM on and is super focused. That guy is like doing outreach. That guy is running paid ads. What am I doing, right? He realizes there's all these people in the same space competing for the same customers, the same clients. I got to outcompete them all, right? And he realizes. So again, the example of like, oh, the longer the decision, the better the decision, that's completely wrong. So that's bullshit, right? In reality, actually, most decisions are quite easy, especially when you have a goal, right? Which all successful people have. So once you have a clear goal, decision making should become like this. Because now the question is only, will this get me closer to my goal? Yes. If yes, do it. If no, don't do it. That's really all there is to it. There's no more real like, okay, let me think about it for 3 days. The only times, right, where you really have to think is when there's really a physical risk. But most times there's no real physical risk. Because if you make decisions like this and you make 2,880 times more decisions than your alternate self who needs to think about it, right? You get 2,880 times more experience seeing the result of your decisions, which means you'll become way better at decision making over time as you make faster decisions and you optimize for speed. Because as you start optimizing for speed, you start to realize, really, there's not much to actually thinking about stuff, and it's really just a waste of time. Second of all, you're going to become more confident because you get to see more repetitions of making a decision and really seeing like, okay, what happens if I decide quickly? And third of all, you realize how much of an idiot you were for the most of your life while you were still making slow decisions, needing to think about everything. And 4, you realize how much you actually lost out on, where you start to realize like, damn, if I had just been quicker a year ago, I would have already been in a massive different place. Because let me tell you what, this could mean the difference between this guy being worth ultimately 5 years from now a billionaire and this guy making maybe, let's say, 400K. Just because this guy is 2,888 times more efficient, get 2,888 times more experience, get 2,880 times more repetitions to see the result of their decisions, and 2,880 times more success. Now, again, you might say like, okay, there's a logic flaw because, you know, you don't even get to make 2,880 times decisions in a day. You actually do. You actually make a lot of decisions during the day, but most of them are unconscious. But in any case, the real point of this is to start being aligned with your higher self, the version of you who's optimizing for speed, who's optimizing for making decisions that get them closer to their goal. And really, that's all there is to it. You don't need to think about 700 different factors. Okay, how's this going to impact my mom, the garbage can, the house, right? If you're under 20, 30K a month, you don't need to think about any of that. All you need to think about is this going to get me there faster or slower? And if it's faster, I'll do it, right? That's how you need to think under that level. If you're running like Amazon, yeah, obviously you're not going to randomly decide to switch stuff around and change stuff. But that's a multi-billion-dollar company. If you're doing under 100K a month, there's no reason why it should take you 1 or 2 or even 5 days to think about something. All right, that's absolutely crazy, and it's going to make you super, super unsuccessful because you're slow.